The silent jungle was alive with small soft clicks of insects, the slow rustle of huge leaves, the drip of water onto mossy roots. But the huntress moved through it without a single noise. Her armor blended with the green shadows. Her mask hid every part of her face except her bright yellow eyes for 7 days. She had followed the same trail. The human's footprints were clear to her. He was not trained to hide like her kind. Still, she felt uneasy. Each night when she closed her eyes, she dreamed he was watching her instead. At dawn, she crouched on a branch thick as a city bridge. Far below, the stream glittered between twisted roots. She saw him at once. He knelt by the water, helmet off, cupping his hands to drink. Light caught his hair, making it look almost gold. His face was calm, not like prey about to die. The huntress studied him carefully. He had a strong build, broad shoulders, and old scars across one cheek. He was older than she expected, but there was no weakness in how he moved. She lifted her bow and locked an arrow into place. The weapon was silent as breath. Her people had used it for 100 generations. She took aim, holding her breath to steady her hand. One clean shot. That was all it would take. He would fall, and her hunt would be complete. But as her finger touched the release, a sharp chill crawled down her spine. It was the feeling she always trusted, the sense she was not alone. She paused, scanning the trees around her. Nothing moved. The birds did not call. The insects had gone still. She lowered her bow an inch. Her heartbeat quickened. He didn't look up. He kept drinking from the stream like he had all the time in the world. But something about his stillness was wrong. He was to relax. To quiet. The huntress shifted her weight carefully. Her foot pressed against the branch and it moved, only a little, but enough. A soft click sounded under her boot. Her eyes widened. She looked down. A thin wire was hidden under a layer of moss. Before she could pull back, the trap triggered. A loop of strong fiber whipped around her ankle, jerking her leg out from under her. She crashed onto her back with a grunt. Her bow slipped from her fingers and fell into the leaves below. Pain shot up her leg as the loop tightened. Before she could grab her knife, a voice spoke. "You're not as quiet as you think." Her head snapped up. The human stood on the path below, rifle aimed at her chest. His voice was calm, almost polite. "You've been following me for a long time," he said. She hissed and tried to pull free, but the wire held fast. "Let me go," she spat. He tilted his head slightly. "Why would I do that?" She bared her teeth behind her mask. "Because I will kill you if you don't." He didn't look afraid. If anything, he looked almost sorry. "You had a week to try," he said softly. "You never did." She froze. It was true. She had watched him sleep, watched him eat, waited for the perfect moment. But she had never struck, and now she was the one caught. He took a step closer. "Who sent you?" he asked. She said nothing. He sighed and lowered the rifle a little. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said, "but I'm also not letting you go." Her fingers flexed near the knife at her belt. He noticed. "Don't," he said calmly. "Why?" she demanded. His eyes met hers. "Because I don't want to kill you," he said. And in that moment, she realized she had never hunted someone like him before. Someone who looked at her without fear or hate. Someone who saw her as more than an enemy. And for the first time, she wondered if she had ever really understood what it meant to hunt. After the tables turned, huntress lay flat on her back, breathing fast. Her ankle throbbed in the trap's grip. She could feel the human's eyes studying her through the quiet. He did not step closer, but he did not look away either. The jungle was silent again. It felt like even the trees were watching. She clenched her jaw and tried to lift her leg. The wire cut deeper. Pain burned up her calf. She hissed softly, but did not cry out. She would never give him the satisfaction. The human finally moved. He slung his rifle over one shoulder and bent to pick up her fallen bow. His fingers turned the weapon slowly, tracing the carvings on the grip. "This is old," he said in a quiet voice. She glared at him through her mask. "More old than your kind," she spat. He nodded. Double quotes, "I believe it," he said simply. He did not mock her, and somehow that made her angrier. He set the bow carefully on the ground out of her reach. Then he stepped closer and crouched beside her. She tensed, ready to strike if he came too near. He studied the trap around her ankle. "Does it hurt?" he asked. She narrowed her eyes. "I will not answer your weak questions." He almost smiled, but his face stayed serious. "I'm going to release it," he said. "So you can catch me again?" She snapped. "So you don't bleed to death," he said. She went still. The calm in his voice felt strange, almost like he meant it. She looked away, unable to hold his gaze. "Do as you wish," she muttered. He reached for the small control box buried in the moss. His gloved fingers moved with care. Pressing the release code. With a soft click, the wire loosened and slid away from her leg. Pain throbbed fresh, but she could move again. He stood and stepped back. "Try to run," he said softly, "and I'll have to stop you." She shifted onto her side and pulled her leg free. Her muscles trembled, but she forced herself to kneel. She did not look up at him. Instead, she reached for the knife at her belt. His voice came again, quiet but firm. "Don't." Her fingers stopped just before the hilt. She swallowed, hating how tired she felt. "Why not finish this?" she demanded without looking at him. He said nothing for a moment. Then his voice came low. "Because I don't kill without reason," he said. Her head lifted just enough to meet his eyes. "I am your enemy," she said. "Maybe," he said. "Or maybe you were just doing what you were told." Her breath caught in her throat. She had no words for that. He shifted his weight, his boots making no sound on the soft earth. "You can walk?" he asked. She hesitated. Her pride screamed a lie. But her body was weak. "Not far," she admitted. He nodded. Double quotes, "Then come with me," he said. Her mouth fell open. "Why?" she whispered. "Because it's almost dark," he said simply. "And there are worse things in this jungle than each other." She did not move. He watched her patiently, not pressuring her. Finally, she pressed a hand to the tree trunk and pulled herself upright. Pain shot up her leg, but she stayed on her feet. She lifted her chin, meeting his steady gaze. "If you think you have caught me," she said softly, "you are mistaken." "Maybe," he said. He turned and started down the path, not looking back. She watched him for a long moment. Then, with a slow breath, she followed. And for the first time in her life, she was not sure who was really the hunter and who was the prey. The uneasy camp jungle grew darker as the sun set behind the tall trees. Cain walked ahead without hurry. He moved like someone who trusted the shadows to hide him. The huntress limped after him, her hand pressed to her aching leg. Every few steps, she thought of turning and running, but each time, she looked at his calm back and stopped herself. She could not say why. They reached a small clearing where the ground was dry and flat. Cain set down his pack and began collecting fallen branches. She watched in silence, her body tense. "You will make a fire?" she asked at last. Double quotes, "Yes," he said without looking up. "They will see," she warned. He nodded. Double quotes, "Maybe," he said. "But I'd rather be warm than eaten by night crawlers." She frowned. She had heard of the jungle's predators, but her people never stopped to build fires. It felt like weakness to her. He finished stacking the wood and struck a small spark. The fire caught slowly, brightening his tired face. He sat down and looked at her across the flames. "Sit," he said calmly. She hesitated. Her pride wanted her to stay standing. But her leg hurt too much. With a soft hiss of pain, she lowered herself onto a flat stone. Cain reached into his pack and pulled out a metal canteen. He held it out to her. She looked at it like it might be poison. "Water," he said simply. She narrowed her eyes. "You think I trust you?" He shrugged. "I don't expect you to," he said. He set the canteen beside her and turned back to the fire. For a moment, she stared at the silver container. Then her thirst won over her pride. She picked it up and drank slowly. The water was cool and clean. She did not thank him. He did not expect it. Instead, he pulled a strip of cloth from his pack and handed it to her. "For your leg," he said. Her hand curled around the cloth without thinking. She hated that she needed his help. But when she looked at his face, there was no mockery in his eyes, only quiet understanding. "Why did you follow me?" he asked after a while. She kept her gaze on the fire. "Orders," she said. "From who?" She did not answer. The silence stretched. "Did you plan to kill me?" he asked softly. She looked up then, her eyes bright behind the mask. "Yes," she whispered. He nodded, as if he had expected nothing else. "Why didn't you?" Her throat felt tight. "I don't know," she said honestly. The flames cracked and popped. Small sparks drifted into the night. He leaned back, resting his arms on his knees. "I knew you were there," he said quietly. She frowned. "How? You breathed aloud," he said. Her face grew hot behind the mask. He looked at her with something close to kindness. "You could have tried harder," he said. "I didn't," she admitted. His brow lifted. Why? Her voice came small. I don't know, she repeated. The jungle noises returned, distant calls and soft rustling in the trees. For the first time, she felt something other than anger. She felt tired. Kane stood and stepped to the edge of the clearing. He peered into the shadows, then glanced back at her. You're safe here, he said. She did not reply. He sat down again, closer to her this time. What is your name? He asked. She hesitated. Then she spoke low. Sira, she said. He nodded slowly. Sira, he repeated. She did not know why, but hearing him say her name made her chest ache. Asterisk, the hidden truth. Fire burned low, casting soft orange light across the clearing. Sira sat with her arms around her knees, staring into the flames. Her leg throbbed where the trap had cut her skin, but she kept her face calm. She would not let the human see her pain. Kane sat across from her, cleaning the long knife he had taken from her belt. He did not look at her often, but she felt his quiet attention like heat on her skin. Hours passed in silence. At last, Kane set the knife aside and pulled a small kit from his pack. He unwrapped a bandage and reached for her leg. She stiffened. Don't, she said sharply. It needs to be clean. He said. I will do it myself, she insisted. He watched her for a moment, then handed her the cloth and leaned back. As you wish, he said. She wiped the wound carefully, her jaw clenched. Blood stained the cloth dark. When she was done, she wrapped the bandage tight. Kane did not speak. He only watched the trees, as if listening for something she could not hear. You are not afraid, she said finally. His eyes shifted back to her. Should I be? He asked. She tilted her head. I hunted you, she reminded him. I know, he said. Then why are you calm? He took a long breath. Because I've seen worse than you, he said softly. She frowned. What does that mean? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he turned his back to her and began to unbuckle the chest plate of his armor. She watched, wary, as he pulled the dark plates free underneath. His shirt was torn in several places. Across his back, long scars crisscrossed. Pale skin. Some were old and faded, others looked newer, pink and ragged. She felt her breath catch. Who did this to you? She asked before she could stop herself. He looked over his shoulder, eyes shadowed. Your people, he said quietly, her throat closed tight. She looked away, ashamed though she did not understand why. You still spared me, she whispered. I don't kill without reason, he repeated. She closed her eyes. The jungle sound seemed far away. I was taught you were dangerous, she said. Maybe I am, he said, but not to you. She opened her eyes again. Why? She asked. He looked at her without anger. Because I've seen too much death, he said. Her chest felt tight. She had thought humans were soft, weak things that broke under pressure. But looking at him now, she wasn't so sure. He carried his pain like armor she could not pierce. She shifted closer to the fire, her voice low. You think I'm cruel, she said. He studied her face. I think you are what someone made you to be, he said. Her hands clenched. I chose this, she insisted. Did you? He asked softly. She looked at the scars again and had no answer. The fire cracked, sending a burst of sparks into the night. She felt tired, more tired than she ever had on any hunt. What happens now? She whispered. He reached for the broken spear she had carried. He set it gently on the ground between them. You tell me, he said. Her eyes lifted to his. And in that moment, she wondered if she had ever really known what she was fighting for. He bond of servile fire burned lower as night swallowed the jungle. Sira's eyes stayed fixed on the broken spear lying between them. Its metal tip caught the light, a reminder of what she had come here to do. Kane did not look at it. He watched the darkness beyond the trees, listening to the soft cries of distant animals. She wondered if he was waiting for her to attack him, but she could not lift her hand. A cold wind moved through the clearing. She pulled her cloak tighter around her shoulders. Her wound ached, but she said nothing. Kane stirred. He reached into his pack and took out a thin thermal blanket. Without a word, he tossed it across the fire to her. It landed in her lap. She stared at it, unsure what to do. Take it, he said quietly. I don't need your kindness, she snapped. It's not kindness, he said. It's survival. She hesitated, then pulled the blanket around her. The warmth made her shiver. She hated that it felt good. For a while, they sat without speaking. Her mind circled the same question. Why didn't he end this? She had hunted him like prey. Her arrows had almost taken his life. Still, he showed her nothing but calm. A low growl rolled through the trees. She lifted her head sharply. What was that? Something big, he said. He reached for his rifle and checked the charge. Sira rose slowly, ignoring the pain in her leg. It's hunting us, she whispered. Probably, he agreed. We need higher ground, she said. He nodded. Can you climb? Her jaw tightened. Yes. They moved together, silent and watchful. The jungle seemed darker than before. She followed him to a massive tree with roots as tall as her chest. King crouched to give her a boost. She almost refused, but there was no time for pride. She put her foot in his linked hands, feeling his strength lift her easily. She grabbed the first branch and pulled herself up. He climbed after her. They settled on a wide limb, high above the ground. From here, they could see the clearing where the fire still burned. Shadows moved at the edge of the light. She is quited. Creature stepped into view, four-legged, scaled, with long hooked claws. Its eyes glowed pale blue. She felt her breath catch. Shadow beast. She whispered. Kane aimed his rifle, but did not fire. Will it leave? She shook her head. No, she said. It can smell us. The beast circled the fire once. Then it lifted its head and let out a low, rumbling growl. It will wait for dawn, she said softly, and then it will come, she whispered. He did not curse or show fear. He only lowered his rifle and leaned back against the trunk. We'll fight it together, he said simply. She looked at him in surprise. Why, she asked. Because if we don't, he said, we both die. She watched him a long moment. In her heart, something shifted. She did not want to die beside this human. She wanted to survive beside him. Sarah rested her hand on the branch between them. If we live, she whispered. What then? He turned to meet her gaze. Then you stop hunting me, he said. Her lips parted, and for the first time, she thought maybe she could. The final choice. If night passed slowly, the shadow beast circled below, silent and patient. Sira could hear its claws scraping over the roots. Every time she thought it had gone, she heard the soft rasp again. She did not sleep. Neither did Kane. He sat with his rifle across his knees, eyes fixed on the darkness. Sometimes their gazes met. They did not need to speak. They both knew what waited at dawn. When the first pale light touched the leaves, the beast moved. It stepped into the clearing, sniffing the cold ashes of the fire. Sarah's hand gripped her knife. Her heart pounded so hard it hurt. King lifted the rifle and aimed carefully. Wait, she whispered. He glanced at her. It is testing us, she said. Then let it come, he murmured. She felt a strange calm in his voice, like he had already accepted whatever happened next. The beast raised its head, its eyes locked on their hiding place. It let out a low growl and began to climb the huge tree. The branches shook under its weight. Sira swallowed hard. When it reaches us, Kane said. You go higher. No, she whispered. You can still escape, he insisted. She shook her head. Her voice came small, but firm. I am not running anymore. The beast climbed closer. Its claws dug into the bark. Kane's finger tightened on the trigger. On my signal, he said. She nodded, her knife ready. The moment stretched long and thin. Then the beast lunged onto their branch with a roar. Kane fired. Blue light flashed as the shot struck its shoulder. The beast shrieked in rage and swiped its claws at them. Sira ducked, feeling the wind of the strike. She leapt forward, driving her knife deep into the beast's neck. It reared back, thrashing wildly. The branch cracked under their weight. King grabbed her arm and pulled her close. Hold on, he shouted. The beast fell backward, dragging part of the branch with it. Sarah and Kane tumbled through the air. She felt her heart stop. Then they hit the ground hard. Pain shot through her side. Her vision blurred, but she heard the beast's final cry as it collapsed, motionless. For a while, there was only silence. Her body ached in every place, but she was alive. She turned her head. Kane lay beside her, breathing hard. His eyes opened slowly. Still here? He asked in a rough voice. She let out a small laugh. Still here, she whispered. He reached over and took her hand. She did not pull away. As the sun rose higher, they sat up slowly. The jungle looked different in the light, less like a trap, and more like a place they had survived together. Kane stood first. He offered his hand. She took it without thinking. He pulled her to her feet. For a moment, they just looked at each other. It's over, she said softly. No, he replied. Not yet. Her heart tightened. What do you mean? He lifted her broken spear from the ground. "You can still finish it," he said. He held it out to her, the weapon between them like a question. Sarah stared at it. She could take it. She could strike him down and walk away as the victor. That was what she had been taught. But as she looked into his steady eyes, she felt something break free inside her. Slowly, she lowered her hand. "I am done hunting you," she whispered. And in that moment, she knew it was true. The dawn of respect jungle was quiet as dawn spread across the trees. Gold light touched the broken spear cane, still held out to her. Sira stared at it, her heart beating slow and heavy. This weapon had meant everything once. It was her pride, her purpose. Now it felt like a memory she did not want to carry anymore. Kane waited without moving. He did not push her to take the spear. He did not look away. Finally, Sarah lifted her eyes to his. "You don't understand," she whispered. "Then, explain it to me," he said softly. Her throat tightened. "If I take this," she said, "I am bound to finish the hunt. And if you don't," her voice came small, "then I am no longer a huntress." He studied her face with quiet calm. "Is that what you want?" he asked. She thought of all the years she had trained to track, to fight, to never question. She thought of how empty it felt to be feared, but never known. Her fingers curled, but she did not reach for the spear. "I don't know," she admitted. King nodded slowly. "Maybe that's the start," he said. Sira felt something in her chest loosen, a feeling she could not name. She stepped closer, so the spear rested between them like a line they could both see. Then she raised her hand and pushed it gently aside. The spear dropped into the grass. Her voice was steady when she spoke. "I am done," she said. King let out a long breath. He nodded once, as if he had been waiting for this moment. He bent to pick up the spear, but instead of keeping it, he set it carefully against the roots of a nearby tree. "Then it stays here," he said. Sira looked at him, surprised. "You do not want it as proof?" He shook his head. "I don't need proof," he said. Her eyes searched his, trying to understand this human who fought without hate. The sun rose higher, filling the clearing with warm light. King reached for his pack and slung it over his shoulder. He looked back at her with a question in his gaze. "What will you do now?" he asked. Sarah felt the weight of the answer. For the first time in her life, no command waited behind her thoughts. No voice told her what she must be. She drew a slow breath. "I will walk with you," she said softly. He lifted his eyebrows just a little. "Walk with me?" She nodded. "Not as hunter," she said. "Not as prey." His face softened in a way that made her chest ache. "Then as what?" he asked. She looked at the spear resting against the tree as something new. She whispered. King stepped close, enough that she could see every line of his tired face. He held out his hand. She looked at it for a moment before she placed her palm against his. Her fingers fit into the spaces between his. She thought it should feel wrong. It didn't. It felt like truth. Together, they turned toward the path that led out of the jungle. As they walked, she did not look back at the spear. She did not need to. It belonged to another life. Ahead of her was something she did not yet understand, but she wanted to try. King glanced at her, a small smile on his lips. She found herself smiling back, and in that quiet dawn, the huntress knew she was no longer lost. She had chosen this. And for the first time, she was free. In the first light of morning, she walked beside the human she had once hunted, no longer an enemy, but something stronger and equal.